Kia ora, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with a special Queensland update as heavy rain continues on. Let's kick off with the big picture, and it shows you all the low pressure zones in the tropics. So after a record late monsoon arriving, now we're really into it with a lot of low pressure. A tropical cyclone doesn't have a name when we recorded this near New Caledonia. It's not likely to last more than 24 hours. And then we've got two other tropical cyclones out over the Indian Ocean. But of course, it's this low pressure zone that is dominating Queensland at the moment. It's not a storm, it's just a sinking area of low pressure that, with the high pressure zone down around the Tasman Sea, is putting the squeeze on with the rain, particularly obviously around Townsville, but anywhere in that area over the coming days. So we're going to try and break it down for you to make a bit of sense. Now on the satellite imagery here, you notice a couple of things. Obviously we've got this offshore low and this offshore tropical cyclone. Over Queensland itself, the rain clouds are bubbling up and they're lumpy. They're not sort of pouring with rain everywhere. They're sort of slightly moving along as well, except for one area, the area around Townsville. That blob of rain barely moving. And in the days ahead, it doesn't move very much. And that's one of the reasons why that particular area is being singled out. Although there is very heavy rain forming inland as well, but it is messy. So these are the current tropical cyclones. This is from the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre. We've got 3 tropical cyclones out over the Indian Ocean. They are moving away from Australia. We've got that low pressure zone. It's not even showing up on the map here because it's not likely to form into a storm. And we've got an offshore low in the Coral Sea. That is heading down towards New Zealand at this stage. So you don't have a storm over you at the moment. It is just a lot of rain. Now this map here, this is just to show you at a glance where the heaviest of the rain is. The key colours always confuse people because they change in a lot of our maps, but in this map it is the yellow that is the heaviest of the rain. So you can see that hugging the coastline around Townsville and Mackay and inland as well. That is the greatest rainfall totals, with the red and purple shading around it being the second heaviest. The green, just light stuff falling around the outer edges. So that is the main area of concern, particularly between Townsville and Mackay, but even northwards going up towards Cairns as well, all caught up in that rainfall. And that's the reason why the Bureau of Meteorology have a number of warnings out at the moment, covering major river flooding and heavy rain. So please keep up to date with that. I'm sure most of you already have, but we do need to point out that the Bureau of Meteorology are the ones that do the official warnings, and they're the ones that are crunching the numbers all the time to make sense of what is going on. We are showing you the big picture maps. This is not the same as a warning, so you need to use the two combined to make more sense of it all. But look, this shows you where the heaviest of the rain is. Now in this map, yellow is not heavy rain, so be clear of that because these are the maps that we're using now for the rest of the broadcast. What you're looking for to see heavy rain, purple. So when you see any blue that is next to the purple, that is usually heavy rain. That's what we're seeing in this zone right here, inside that ring of the purple shading. So that very heavy rain producing 200-300 millimeters in just 24 hours. That's up till 9 o'clock tonight, on top of that staggering 600 millimeters in 19 hours just north of Townsville yesterday and the day before. So heavy rain all the way really along from Cairns, Innisfail down to Ingham, and then Townsville itself. And then you jump inland as well. Obviously not as populated, but we're still seeing some very heavy rainfall over there. But any rain that falls along this eastern side drains to the eastern side. This rain here drains out to the west. So as we go through the week, here we are, 9 o'clock Wednesday, 24 hours of rainfall, once again, south of Innisfail and about Townsville northwards, particularly around Ingham and Townsville. That's where you're seeing that 200 millimetre mark or more. Jump just a little bit further inland, the blue and the green, bottom of the scale. So that's what we meant by these sort of lumpy downpours that are really setting into this coastal zone here in the tropics. But once you jump inland, those rainfall totals aren't as big, unless of course you get a thunderstorm that could break that. And that's also possible within that rain. So even though we're predicting 100, 200 millimeters, you end up with a localized downpour that stalls that could double that number and make it 400 millimeters in a short amount of time. So very serious rainfall coming through this week. By the time we get to Thursday, no real change. It's Ingham to Townsville, that area there, seeing 100 to 150, maybe 200 millimeters in that zone. And we get through to Friday, it hasn't moved much. Still very much focused through that inland area as well, between Ingham and Townsville, pushing right inland. Now, there's also this low pressure zone starting to form on Friday. That's a problem because it just adds a little bit more energy back in to a system that otherwise might be starting to fall apart by the end of the week. So that means as we go into the weekend, now we've got this low pressure zone. It's not a cyclone, it's not a storm. Although at this time of the year, you always have to pay close attention. It can change quickly, but that's just going to add a bit more rain. It looks like it's shifting northwards, Ingham to Innisfail. But I've got to point out that because of the big high south down towards the Tasman Sea, and because this is very messy up here, this could still change. The low might form further out to sea or further north or south or even inland. So we can't lock it in this far out, but you get the idea. There are still these lines of very heavy rain. It's a bit hit and miss. You go further north, it's not as wet. Further south, it's completely dry. So Sunday, we do start to see potentially a bit of a breaking up of what's going on. Higher pressure is increasing further southwards. That is seeing drier weather moving through into parts of inland Queensland. But we've still got this low to keep an eye on. And like I say, if it just moves a little further westwards, that heavy rain stays around for the Townsville area, but we do start to see it breaking up a little bit by the looks of it as we go in towards the end of the weekend. And by next week, that low may still be there, but there are larger dry spells now showing up around Queensland. I'm well aware there's severe weather elsewhere. We've got extreme heat with the heat wave carrying on in the south, windy weather as well, potentially later in the week. And so this is just one part of what is going on around Australia, but we do have to focus on it because it is such a serious event. So this is the 7-day rainfall. Now, for those who watched my video yesterday, probably really did downplay how much rain was coming in. Part of the reason is because the key cuts off at 300 millimetres. And so there are areas that got double that in less than a day. And this is showing you the next 7 days ahead. We are talking about with the company that provides us with these maps, Weather Zone, to see if we can get the key extended out. But so basically what you're seeing is everywhere in the dark blue shading here on this map has that flood risk over the next 7 days ahead. So it does extend further northwards. These northern areas perhaps a little better to deal with some of that heavy rain, but I've certainly got to say down here in the more populated areas south of Cairns, this is a very serious event from Innisfail to Townsville, even to Bowen, over the next 7 days. So please do take extreme care. Keep up to date with those Bureau of Meteorology warnings and watches. They'll be issued off and on over the next week ahead. And unlike our videos, they are really micro-focusing on where you live. We are much more big picture to explain what is driving all of this weather. So that is all from me for this special Queensland update. We're back again tomorrow, Wednesday, with our normal Australia update, one day earlier this week, and we'll have another look at what is going on around Queensland and the severe weather risks further to the south around Victoria, Western Australia as well. But that's all from me for today. Stay safe, take care, we'll catch you tomorrow.